Well, now you got into this mess by going down a waterfall. Now, how would you suppose we get them out of there?
By going up the waterfall?
That's right. Anything's possible in Disneyland.
Little orange bird, in the sunshine tree, won't you think of something sunny just for me?
Welcome, friends, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Up the Waterfall with your hosts, Zanna and Scott Otis.
Howdy.
Here we take a nostalgic trip up the waterfall of Disney parks, movies, books, and more. With our personal present-day point of view.
We try.
So we invite you to sit back and enjoy your journey up the waterfall. This is episode 35. No, wait, 36.
I was going to say, I think we did 35 last
I
time.
had 35 on my brain. The history, the storied history of the orange bird. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, we have some visual enjoyments for you with our orange bird props. We really should have a lot more orange bird props, but we couldn't find one thing, and
it's in storage, I guess.
other stuff I've since lost that I had as a child.
I have a storage unit with only Orange Bird merchandise. So.
We really should have gone there then, if that was the case.
Whoops.
But yeah, there's been, definitely a resurgence of Orange Bird love and merchandise, of course, in recent years. But we thought it would be fun to recount where he came from. And of course, if you are a Disney nerd, as we are, and know all of the history of the opening of the parks, then you know that it was represented by the Florida citrus growers.
That's right.
The Florida Citrus Commission. And they worked with Disney and signed a contract back in 1969 and wanted to create an attraction that would somehow highlight
I
the
think
citrus growers.
they actually approached the Disney company back in 1967. But yeah, they did sign it in 69. But I mean, they were like one of the first signed licensees of the entire park. So.
And they went back and forth a bit, I think, but decided, as we all know, on a tropical bird show, which was, of course...
they wanted to be represented by something fun.
Yeah.
And family-friendly, which, what wouldn't be in the park, but go ahead.
Oh, no. You can talk about things. We're here together.
That's right. But yeah, they essentially, they sponsored the Sunshine Pavilion featuring the Tropical Serenade. Or is it Serenade?
Serenade.
Okay. Featuring the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yeah, which was basically a copy of the original one in Disneyland.
The show itself.
Different
pre-show, exactly. And then, of course, also the Sunshine Tree Terrace.
Right.
The juice stand at the exit of that attraction.
Yes. And in 1970, that's when they came up with the Orange Bird character itself. Vince Jeffords, who was a Disney marketing maven, came up with the idea.
He basically came up with the whole story of that. The character itself was designed by Disney legend Bob Moore.
Yes, that's in my notes as well.
But yeah, the whole story of the Orange Bird, which is a fun story if you want to go through that, came up by Vince Jeffords.
No, you can go through it.
Okay. Well, the whole story, and this actually was released also in a Disneyland Records, kind of one of those storybook albums I think that we all had as kids. With the, I think they had the little Tinkerbell bell, which told you when to turn the page. Yeah. But the story was there was this orange bird, which, as you can see here, had the head of an orange and little leafy arms.
Yes.
It's a rather large head. And a nice, fun yellow beak. Fun little guy. Anyway, but he was not able to speak. He could only... Or sing, yeah, unlike all the other birds, especially in the Enchanted Tiki Room. He could only...
orange thoughts.
Express himself in orange thoughts, little thought bubbles of, orange thoughts, and using orange smoke. And I guess the other birds kind of made fun of him for that, which is kind of sad.
Very sad.
He just wanted to be a little happy bird.
Disney loves an underdog, though. So
that's true. So he, all the other birds decided to fly south for the winter, and he wanted to join them, but they said no, so he had to kind of go it alone. And so he did, and he ended up in the city, and he kind of explored the city for a little while, encountering a cat who in a back alley. And I guess that he escaped that by imagining an orange mouse for the cat to attack. And when he did, it was gone. And then he, eventually grew tired of that and continued to go south. And he encountered a family having a picnic in the park. And, he thought this was a very lovely family. He flew down there and just wanted to hang out with them. And the kids, I think it was a mom, a dad, and a boy and a girl, and the kids loved him, and everyone did. But then when it was time for them to go, and I guess for them to also go south, the kids, of course, wanted the bird to come along with them. But the dad, he said no.
No.
Because he thought maybe the car would fill up with orange smoke, and that would be a danger. And we've got enough mouths to feed. And this, of course, made the orange bird very sad, which, I would be sad too.
Yeah, this poor guy.
But anyway, so they were driving south, and the bird was flying above them, and he flew ahead and noticed that the road, of course, had been washed out in a storm. And so he thought super hard, and right as the car came around the bend and would have careened over this edge, he thought long and hard, because that's all he could do, and he thought of a giant orange stop sign, which of course allowed them to stop just in time. And of course, since he saved the family, I think the father had a change of heart and decided, okay, we can adopt the orange bird and take him with us.
And then he was never heard from again.
That's right. He was just one of the family. So that was a little story. I did forget that while he was in the city, he actually encountered, he found I think a birdhouse with another orange bird, and he went to it, but it was actually the yellow light in a traffic signal, and that orange bird went away and turned red, and
that's funny.
I had forgotten about that part, but that was a fun story that Vince Jeffords had come up with. And so they released all of that on a Disneyland Records
and there
album.
was actually 6 songs on that
that's right.
same album,
Yeah.
written by the Sherman Brothers.
The Disney stalwarts, the Sherman Brothers. They actually came up with lots of songs, including the Orange Bird song, which I think is the most famous, sung by Anita Bryant, who we'll get to in just a bit.
We will.
Another one called Sing All Day. I'll Fly the Skyway. I like that one. A Cat Don't Like. The Perfect Picnic. And the Orange Tree was so they actually came up with so many songs for that. And so you want to talk about Anita?
I will in a moment, but first I want to say, for anyone that didn't know, that Robert or Bob Moore actually designed the Walt Disney postage stamp and the eagle mascot for the 1984 Olympic Games.
Oh, that's right. Sam the Eagle.
Yeah.
Very similar to the American Sings eagle.
Yes. And I just want to talk a little bit about the lead up to how it came to be in the Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
And if you were driving to the Magic Kingdom, which a lot of people were back then, it was, the whole eastern seaboard and that side of the country was able to drive to this brand new Walt Disney World.
And most of these folks had never been to Disneyland because they're all on the East Coast.
Right.
And very few had gone all the way out to see Disneyland. So with this new Walt Disney World park, they were able to do that.
There was billboards all along, the way to Disney World, and souvenir stands and other advertisements showcasing the orange bird. So people would kind of have an idea on their way there that, like, hey, this little guy is going to be waiting for us at the Magic Kingdom. It wasn't because, having a character that wasn't like Mickey or Donald was kind of unusual at the time, but it wasn't unheard of because, of course, there was the Aunt Jemima was a character that would walk around.
Yeah, at Disneyland.
At Disneyland and things like that.
And Disney had been also associated with orange juice, with the Donald Duck orange juice golly, what was that, the 1940s or the 50s?
I do not know.
I think it was the late 40s that they came up with that, which is like the longest running Disney that's still going because they still make it.
Yeah. So Anita Bryant was a spokesperson for the Florida Citrus Council. Mm-hmm. She was, of course, former Miss America or USA?
Well, she was Miss Oklahoma from 1958.
Miss America contestant.
And then she was a contestant in Miss America, of course.
Second runner-up or something.
Yeah, second runner-up.
So she had been their official spokesperson since 1968. And then 3 years later, she teamed up with the Orange Bird in publicity photos and commercials, most of which ended with the line, "From the Sunshine Tree."
That's right.
And you can see some of those commercials on YouTube. I'll link some of them there. There were some where, I don't know if they were actually her kids, but they were pretending that they were her kids that she was giving Florida orange juice to. And then there was, as you talked about, the whole album where there were 6 songs, which was actually distributed free of charge to guests.
They actually,
when they first...
well, that was a different album. They had the storybook album, but they had just a 45 with, I think, 2 songs.
Oh, okay.
The first and the last songs, the Little Orange Bird on the A side, and then Orange Tree on the B side, which they handed out free at the Sunshine Pavilion.
Yes. So then, as time went on, and we'll get to, I just want to get Anita out of the way here. Some controversy happened.
Yes, there was a bit of controversy
time.
with her. She had some differing views of things.
In 1977, she was campaigning against anti-discrimination legislation in Miami, where she lived at the time. She took a public stance against homosexuality that garnered national attention and led to a boycott of Florida citrus products.
That's right.
And I was reading about this, and I honestly did not remember, I was not old enough to know what was going on politically back then, of course, but I really just never researched Anita Baker and didn't know. O'Brien, sorry. Anita Bryant. And Anita Baker, wow, that's funny. Anyway, I had no idea, but I was glad to hear that people were mad about it and protesting.
The Florida citrus growers, they were not a huge fan of their products being boycotted.
Exactly.
So I believe they ended their relationship with her as a result.
But Disney signed a new 5-year sponsorship agreement in 1981 with the Florida Citrus Commission, keeping that Orange Bird relationship going, because the Orange Bird had nothing to do with controversy, and he was still there. It was just Anita that had to get out of the picture.
A little guy with little orange thoughts.
Exactly. But then I think it was 5 years later, after that new 5-year contract, they were kind of just like, we're done. Because, it was like a lot of sponsorship money that they were paying, and they didn't feel they were getting a lot.
And by that time, a different character that had been created just for a theme park was kind of taken over with Figment.
Well, yes, that's true. But he didn't tell you to drink orange juice.
That is true.
But anyway, going back to the opening and the Sunshine Tree Terrace itself, there was a sunshine tree that was built behind, the counter there. And it really was, it's hard to explain in modern times and modern terms what the Walt Disney World Resort was like back in the 70s, and in turn what the country was like back in the 70s. Like, oranges were still almost like a magical product that not everyone had access to all the time. Like, if you went to Florida, you would mail home citrus.
Oh yeah,
which
people
you can
would buy
still
crates
do, but I don't know
and crates
why
of oranges and mail them to all of their family.
Yeah, and so it was, an exotic type of thing. And so creating this sponsorship and these products that you could eat and drink from oranges was really like, people ate it up back then.
Oh yeah.
This was the time, of course, of, Jello molds and ambrosia and all sorts of exotic, in quotes, foods like that people were just all about. Tupperware and Jello molds. And I remember my Aunt Helen was very famous for her coffee Jello, which as a coffee fan sounds gross even for me. And my grandmother and mom would all make these weird Jello molds with celery in them.
Yeah, I grew up with I think the green Jello with julienne carrots inside.
Like what the heck? So it's weird that we have such nostalgia of things like the Orange Bird in that time frame, but then that was also going on, which of course our friend Michael Crawford mentions in his Progress City primer.
Boy, does he mention it.
And I had written down some of the items that you could get made from oranges, but I will just read them directly from his book because it's pretty funny.
It's hilarious.
Some of the stuff. So you could get not only, the citrus swirl everyone knows and loves, but there was also things like tangerine soft freeze, a sherbet-like mixture of orange juice, tangerine concentrate, tangerine oil, and sweetener, an orange juice bar on a stick, which I definitely remember those existing back then. And jellied citrus salad composed of broken orange and grapefruit segments, grapefruit juice, sugar, and gel, whatever that is. Also on the menu, a tangerine cheesecake comprising cake topped with tangerine and orange glaze sauce, citrus tarts of heavy cream in an open shell topped with orange sections and glazed orange sauce, and crepes ambrosia, a delightful mixture of oranges, tangerines, marshmallows, and coconut dipped in heavy cream and rolled in a French pancake.
Or a crepe.
Yes, but this was America. We had to explain everything. In addition, that was just what was available at the Sunshine Tree Terrace, but there was other places.
Yeah, they had oranges throughout the park.
Yeah, so they really lived up to their end of the bargain, I think, these Florida Citrus Commission people. So at the now defunct Adventureland Veranda, guests could order Fiji chicken orange chunk made up of fried chicken breast, Cantonese rice, which I don't know what that, probably fried rice, I would assume, Polynesian vegetables, egg roll, grated orange rind, and parsley, topped with orange or tangerine segments. This was I could do a whole episode that's not Disney related on Chinese food of the 70s and 80s because my grandparents and mom and dad and all of us would go out each week to the Canton House in Canton, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
And get mugu gai pan and sliced pork with the red on the edges. And you never did this because you never even ate rice until you were
I did go to a Chinese restaurant one time in Vancouver, the second largest Chinatown in North America behind San Francisco's. And at that time, since I didn't, it was all very exotic.
Yeah.
I had tea. So I was afraid.
Well, that's the thing is this was really American Chinese food, and it would have lots of pineapples and those little noodles that were fried, the chow mein noodles and all that stuff.
That was a very exotic thing back then.
So sweet and sour chicken was kind of like as risky and exotic as it got for people back then. So this probably was very popular at the time. Additionally, Tomorrowland Terrace served a hamburger plate with sides of French fries and Florida citrus jello.
Yummy.
They also featured citrus tarts and a citrus salad containing orange and grapefruit segments topped with orange sherbet. Crystal Palace, you could order an orange Waldorf salad, which, of course, if you don't know, has raisins and walnuts in it.
Of course. That's a Waldorf.
As well as cottage cheese Jubilee salad, a very 70s sounding concoction of cottage cheese mixed with tiny bits of oranges and pineapple.
You lost me at cottage cheese.
Lots of
but
cottage
I know a
cheese
lot of
back
people
then.
love that.
Yes. Liberty Square's Liberty Tree Tavern had shrimp Florida, utilizing pink Florida shrimp with diced oranges in sauce Louis. And then the Pâté Maison Florida, which composed of thin slices of homemade pâté with orange rounds molded into each slice.
No.
So, yeah, that is kind of a scary combination of foods. But it really harkens back to a time when that's
if
what
you think
people
about
enjoyed.
what they have now, there's nothing
I know.
like that in quick service restaurants.
It's
That's
crazy
amazing.
to think about. So anyway, they built a tree back there where the orange bird sat.
That's right. There was a little orange bird.
Yeah, and it was,
there.
just plastic leaves, and there was plastic oranges in there. But the orange bird figure was originally an animatronic. His little leaf arms
I forgot
would
about
move
that.
up and down.
Okay.
And there was also projections that there was like little tikis around him as well. And there was little projections that would go up on the wall and the tree of his orange thoughts.
That's amazing, because just
I know.
having things like that, not just in attractions or shows, but like in the background of a restaurant or a snack stand even, that's just phenomenal.
It was crazy to think that existed and was
Oh,
just
yeah.
part of the experience back then. And I certainly remember, I've said before that I had family that lived in Ocala, so I don't remember my original visits to Disney World when I was probably as young as like 6 months old. There's a picture of me in an orange grove as a 6-month-old baby holding an orange. I don't know where that was taken.
Probably not in Adventureland.
No, probably not. But there was also a picture that I've shown a million times of me probably 6 or 7 years old with a frozen banana.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely, before my 1983 trip to Epcot. I had been there a few times, and I do have distinct memories of getting an orange bird sipper, which at the time, I posted this on Twitter, so people may have seen it. It was just an orange cup. There was no body to it, and it had a little orange leaves cover. And you could either just get orange juice in there or whatever, probably. I don't know.
People loved that stuff back then.
I loved that back then.
And if you think about this, the Aladdin's, of course, the flying carpets were not there.
Right.
So imagine that whole area minus that attraction, and it's still that big. It was such an exotic place back then.
On our last episode where we ranked the
that's
attractions,
right.
that a lot of purists were not fans of Aladdin's carpet rides because it really destroyed that amazing view when you first walked into Adventureland.
Yeah.
And unlike Disneyland's Adventureland, which is so narrow when you first walk in, that's really a bottleneck area, which they've since widened, I guess. But still, you had this vast expanse when you walked in here, and it really was breathtaking, the architecture.
I mean, there were some benches, concrete benches, not concrete, but kind of rock benches
Yes.
throughout as well. It wasn't just a big expanse of nothingness. But but it was a lot more open back then, so it was a lot more exotic things.
And there were stools at the Sunshine Tree Terrace that you could sit there and enjoy your purchases.
And the citrus swirl.
Yes, citrus swirl, which I definitely had memories of, and I always preferred over the Dole Whip.
Me too.
When I was little. Just the combination of the orange and the vanilla ice cream was I loved creamsicles back then too. So
it was harkened back to that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that hung on for a long time, even after the orange bird had kind of faded.
Yeah, and we haven't even really mentioned the walk-around character.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all. I never ever saw him, which makes me sad.
Yeah, my first visit to Walt Disney World was in 1984, so...
Yeah, he was gone by then.
I'm not sure when he did exactly go. I know it was sometime right around then. Might have been a little earlier than that, but yeah, I never saw him, which is sad.
I'm trying to see when
I know it was sometime in the early 80s.
Well, I'll have to keep looking while you're...
Yeah, that's okay.
But I think it was 1986 is when they parted ways, so... He may have been there, but I don't think he was.
I mean,
back then.
I only had that one visit.
Yeah, I think people
I did not see him.
after the 70s were kind of just like...
And this was definitely a different kind of a walk-around character than a lot of the other characters you know about, because he had...
And we'll show images of that if you're watching. You can see
it
them,
almost was like a onesie, right?
It was
with
like a
an
little
orange
pajama
head.
outfit with an orange head on you. And I've seen... There's not a ton of pictures out there of... him in the parks, but the ones that are, there's one picture in particular where there's a lady in the corner that she's the spitting image of my dad's mom.
Maybe it's her.
I know. And I was like, is that me as a child? But there's like another child next to that child that
I think it was.
I didn't have a sister that looked
No,
like that.
but lots of other little kids wanted to see the orange bird. So
I don't know. But they were like wearing a matching outfit. Anyway, it looked like my Grandma Lucy, but I don't think it was her.
I do think
She probably
it was
would
her.
have been sitting down smoking a cigarette somewhere. This was back then.
She had to stand up sometime.
Anyway, yeah, this walk-around character was kind of a fun thing to see as well, but I don't think he lasted too
and
long.
it's just crazy to think about that there's a character created just for the parks, for just like for an attraction, and that wasn't from a movie.
And
walking around like that.
The thing with the Florida Orange Bird is, yes, he was a Walt Disney Productions creation. If you had any of the original sippers back then, or like the Orange Bird Bank, which I did have as well, and I don't know where that is.
They had all kinds of things like that.
Yeah,
like,
they were
Banks, vinyl toys,
licensed,
records.
and you could find them throughout Florida. Like when I would go to Silver Springs all the time, because that was right next to Ocala, and in their gift shop they would have Orange Bird merchandise.
You'd find them in a lot of the roadside attractions, where they would hand out the free orange juice as well. So
it really was a point of pride for Florida, the state, to have this relationship with Walt Disney, I think, and they really
all
promoted
for
it.
Sponsoring Florida-grown oranges.
Exactly.
And other citrus.
Yes. So sadly, the sunshine tree, sorry. We can cut that part out, perhaps. The sunshine tree that I recently mentioned was dismantled and taken down during a 2000 rehab. They just decided that, the Orange Bird was long gone, I believe, because when they ended their partnership, he just kind of like
yoink,
went like this, and
they
nobody knows
probably
to this
stuck
day.
him in a back closet somewhere.
Yeah, nobody knows where he is or where he was.
But didn't they find him?
They found something, but it wasn't this one that could move his arms. But yeah, they just decided to get rid of the sunshine tree altogether in 2000, when rather than spend the money to refurbish it one last time or at all, they took it away. And then we just kind of didn't really, major fans of original Walt Disney World would pine away for their Orange Bird. But it wasn't until 2004.
That's right.
When he started appearing in Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, Japan basically kind of saved him. And he appeared in their parks.
Yeah, just on merchandise. They had a little plush guy that looked very similar to this, and then a few other.
I've seen some merchandise, from that, and it's
because the Japanese kawaii, like everything looking adorable and cute, kind of like Hello Kitty.
Yeah, it's kind of like how they had the resurgence of the old Disney bear that kind of turned into Duffy.
Exactly. So it made sense, even though it didn't make sense why it was in Japan.
A lot of things there don't make sense, but in a way, because of that, they do. Does that make sense?
So people would then see some of these things on eBay, or people that actually traveled to Tokyo Disneyland were like, oh my gosh, this exists over here. So it kind of got things, an interest was re-sparked for people that may have never heard of him, and like, who's Orange Bird? And then back in, the early 2010s,
I believe it was 2012.
Well, that's when
it
whole
came
thing
back.
started.
But before that,
Jason Grant,
Imagineer Jason Grant, I guess he had an affinity for the Orange Bird.
Did he, or was he doing predictive programming?
I'll bet it was a bit of both.
No, I know he definitely did love him, but this
was a true
what
Disney
was
guy.
Such an amazing thing to sit back and watch, which of course we didn't realize at the time. I don't know. There's no way I could search for Jason Grant's original Orange Bird tweet, because
it probably
he tweets about him
started
a lot.
Back in early 2011.
Yeah,
So
and
well over a year before
he
all
would
of
just
that came out.
be drawing him, and you would think like, oh my gosh, he loves Orange Bird, this is so cool, and it would really spark conversation on Twitter, which was, they were actually experimenting at the time as well.
Yes, they were.
With Imagineers being on Twitter, like, hey, this is a kind of a new thing. Twitter had been around since like 2007 or something.
And this is, of course, the account 43 Square Miles.
Yes.
Jason Grant.
And a few of his buddies and your pals as well were kind of the...
Alex Wyatt and the other Jason.
Yes, the experimentation team to see what kind of, interaction would happen, what kind of feedback there was. And it really, the interest and love in the orange bird really took off. And everyone became obsessed.
Us included, of course.
Yes. And it really helped you to appreciate and love the new Imagineers that were out there even more, because you understood, at least for me personally, I was very excited to see, like, oh my gosh, they get it. They're fans
and
themselves.
And that's the thing, they get it.
They're fans first, and they understand the history, and it's their history too, and they love all of the same things that we love. And there would just be more and more drawings and, old photos of the orange bird and things like that. And then Destination D happened.
That's right.
And he talked about it there, but I don't think it was announced until the expo.
They actually sold a shirt, an orange bird shirt at that Destination D. I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
But that, or is it?
No, it's not that. That was one of the ones that came out later.
But I think it was a white shirt with a little orange arm things. But
that's right. I do have that shirt. You could have worn that one, or I could have worn that one. Dang it.
We have a lot of orange bird shirts.
I know. I had
here.
no idea. I apparently have 5 different orange bird shirts in my possession. Anyway,
More fans.
They then made an announcement.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like an unannounced surprise thing that the orange bird would be returning.
I think a lot of people thought it was kind of like the walk-around character was maybe going to be coming back.
But they had actually discovered an original orange bird figure in a file cabinet in California.
That's right.
And Kevin Kidney, I believe, had redesigned the new version of the orange bird, who sadly does not move his arms, but he's still pretty darn cute.
I mean, Kevin moves his arms, but the orange bird did not.
That is true. Thank you for clarifying that. So he reappeared on some cute little orange grove crates. There was no
in the Sunshine Tree Terrace.
Yes, exactly. Which originally, because I'm going to get confused now. You're going to have to... They changed the name, and now it's Aloha Isle there.
Well,
and Sunshine Tree Terrace is where the Dole Whip used to be.
Yeah, that was a few years later.
But when it first reopened, it was in his original spot.
Yes.
No tree, but there was orange crates.
That was, April 17th, 2012, if I'm not mistaken, where they had a fun event.
We were there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a D23 event that you didn't need a ticket or anything for. I think it was just...
Right, but they had a whole announcement. Stephen Vagnini was there.
Stephen Vagnini was there. They did a fun little rendition of the Orange Bird song.
Yep.
And Jason Grant was there. Monty Mal... I'm going to butcher his last name.
I can't remember.
We'll put it up on one of the pictures I have. And...
I'm sorry, Monty.
I can find it in here if I scroll long enough, but I would rather not have dead air.
Yes.
But anyway, they designed this shirt and the other shirt that you were wearing in last week's episode that was just his head.
Yeah. So
and
look at last
a
week's
print
episode.
Also at the time,
right.
which I never got.
And an attraction poster. You remember that?
Yes, that's what the print was, I
believe.
believe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But they actually... He was in the little attractions poster.
Oh, right.
In the
when
tunnel
you would walk
as
in.
you walk through the park.
Exactly. I did take a picture of that as well. And then the original sipper cups that they came out with, the first version, which I do have a photo of, and
not what this
Christian
is.
can put that on there, was just his head again. It was very similar to the
eyes
70s and 80s version with the little cap.
And a straw popping up out of his head.
Yes, and it was just his eyes. And I have a picture of Gio drinking out of that, and it was a very moving moment for me. Because
it's a very cute photo.
I had done the same thing when I was little, and then he got to do the same thing. It was really cute. And, of course, then they brought back the citrus swirl at the same time.
That's right.
So it was
they were able to get that machine working, which was a very... the machine
finicky.
Was very finicky. A lot of times it would get too cold and they couldn't get the consistency just right. So sometimes the citrus swirl was available and sometimes it wasn't, based on that machine. I think they've since figured it out.
Yeah, I would say so. But so it was a fun and exciting time for Orange Bird, and it's really only gone up since then. But going back to the Jason Grant thing, that's when it all clicked to me. Was just like, he knew what was coming.
Yes, he did.
And he was getting us ready for it. So he's also like a huge Figment fan and original Epcot Center fan, and he's over the years drawn a lot of Figments. So I always, and still do, hold out hope that they will redo
That's right.
Figment. But it may have just meant that he was going to be the mascot for every single Epcot festival. I don't know.
And he kind of is.
He definitely is. But yeah, so that was the story. This is the photo right here if you're looking. That looks just like my grandmother.
Oh my gosh. We'll make sure to post that.
Yes,
so you can
we will,
you can
for
all
sure.
judge, is that her grandmother or not?
No. So yeah, that's pretty much the story of the Orange Bird. And he is now, I think this season especially was supposed to be a major factor in the Flower and Garden Festival, which sadly was kind of cut short. And it's kind of happening now, but it's a combination flower and food and wine festival with less booths, but there's still a ton of merchandise. I just saw a photo this morning actually of there's like Orange Bird leggings and all sorts of crazy Orange Bird items, backpacks, etc. Did you have anything else to add about?
The only other thing is they actually made an educational film also.
Wow.
With featuring the Orange Bird called Foods and Fun, a Nutrition Adventure, which pretty much used the same storyline as the Disneyland record that they had done. But anyway, that actually featured Rex Allen as the narrator, as well as the voice of June Foray, who had done a lot of voice work, of course.
Yeah, she was Rocky the squirrel.
That's right. But I just wanted to throw this one other little thing out there. This is a complete throwaway thing, but in the storybook, the Disneyland record, with the songs, all those songs that sung by Anita Bryant, that actually featured Ronnie Howard, a young Ronnie Howard, who had also appeared in a Haunted Mansion CD, not a CD, but a record, as well as Roby Lester and Sam Edwards. Sam Edwards was, of course, the father. But anyway, these were popular figures who had appeared in so very many of Disneyland records that they had done over the years. Roby Lester, she could actually be heard in the Haunted Mansion, the chilling, thrilling sounds of the Haunted Mansion, which I actually had as a child.
I had
growing
that
up,
too as well.
with all of
We
the
played that
fun
in Halloween.
sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was the kind of the voice of who told the story of you walking through the Haunted Mansion, and that was her. But the one that she did for the Orange Bird, that was her final appearance in the Disneyland records. So anyway, that was my last thing with that. Were you able to find anything else?
I was able to find that it was Monty Maldovan and
Yeah.
Casey Jones.
Oh, that's right. I remember they
were the ones
both
that
there.
designed. There was this design, and then the print with the attraction poster, and then the other Orange Bird.
That's right.
So between the two of them, they were there to sign prints and whatnot as well. I do apologize for massacring your name, Monty. But yeah, and it was 2015 was when they switched.
Yeah, the
I don't know why
Aloha
they did
Isle
that.
Refreshments and Sunshine Tree Terrace, for some reason, switched places.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And
If you know why, let us know, because
did they switch back eventually, or are they still kind of in their switched positions?
Sunshine Tree Terrace is where Aloha Isle is now.
Okay.
Makes no sense.
I agree.
I don't like it, but
I
it is
don't
what
either.
it is.
Yeah. It makes, because the Dole Whip was always there, and
Yeah.
now it's not.
Yeah.
It's in the other place.
I guess because that's a bigger location and Dole Whip is more popular.
I don't know. But they also moved the Orange Bird so that he would be in the Sunshine
Yes.
Tree Terrace.
That is true.
Which is where he belongs.
And at some point they added right next to the Sunshine the original Sunshine Tree Terrace, a Sorcerer of the Magic Kingdom portal.
Except they did not move that portal.
No, that's still there.
It's still there, but now it's next to the Aloha Isle refreshments.
Yes.
Even though the story there is orange themed? No, it's not.
I don't remember. It's been too long since I've
It'd be
done
funny
that.
if they had a little orange bird card and you could throw oranges at
They do have an orange bird card. It was one of the
that's
special
right.
ones at Halloween.
I actually have that.
We should have had it to display right now.
I kind of know where it is.
I did send a photo of it to Christian, so he can throw
Yay.
it in there. So yeah, that wraps up, as I mentioned, the storied history of the little orange bird. The little bird that could, if you will.
Yeah.
I do love him so because
does
he
not
reminds
speak.
me of simpler times.
It really was.
And I have that, Silver Springs connection, and I would always see those roadside attraction type merchandise there, and I really just loved him. And I loved any, small, cute thing.
Yeah, things that could project orange thoughts.
Yeah, and which at the time I didn't even know, I didn't know his backstory until
Right.
much later when there was a history to discover, I guess. But back then I just knew I liked drinking out of his head. Delicious orange juice, which, fun fact, they only served frozen orange juice from concentrate there. Isn't that crazy to think about?
I know Florida orange concentrate is a very big product.
Yeah, so that's
it's a
probably what
huge thing.
the orange
Because
growers
that's
wanted.
a way that households could enjoy
Exactly.
orange juice all across America.
Yeah, just
Is
plop that sucker into a pitcher and add some water.
It's amazing how it works.
We definitely did that growing up.
Oh yeah.
I remember the
Yeah,
Minute
it would be funny, fun to watch it kind of dissolve. And,
Yeah.
Because if you start drinking it too early and you'd still have that little frozen glop.
But then once you
in there.
discover fresh squeezed orange juice, there's really no turning back.
Yeah. With or without the pulp?
I go back and forth. I do
Okay.
enjoy a nice smooth orange juice with no pulp. But
Yeah.
every now and then it's fun to have
As
some
long as
pulp.
it doesn't have the seeds.
So if you're listening or watching, let us know, are you a fan of the orange bird? Do you have any memories of orange bird growing up?
Yeah, did you encounter the walk-around character?
I
That
know.
would
If
be
so,
fun.
we'd love to see a photo if you
Oh
have
my
one of
gosh,
those.
Yes.
Are you a Citrus Swirl fan? Let us know
Yeah.
that. Citrus Swirl or Dole Whip?
For us, it's both. Citrus Swirl, all the way, right?
Yeah. I used to, when I would get Dole Whip, I would always get the mix of
Yeah.
Dole Whip and vanilla ice cream because I really liked the sour and the sweet together. So that's kind of why I liked the Citrus Swirl, which really is a completely different consistency. They have an orange swirl
Mm-hmm.
at the Dole Whip place, which is a completely different flavor and product.
Yeah.
It tastes like baby aspirin. If you ever had that chewable baby aspirin growing up,
Okay. I'll have to take your word for that.
it does. Ask Amanda Tinney. She agrees with me.
Okay.
But the Citrus Swirl was always like slushy kind of, there was stuff in it, like little
Interesting.
crystals
Fun.
with the vanilla ice
Okay.
cream mixed in. So
Fun.
I do prefer a Citrus Swirl if I had to choose.
Yes, me too.
Let us know your thoughts and what you prefer, and if you learned anything new on this episode
Yeah.
of Up the Waterfall, which we thank you for joining us on.
I do have a fun trivia.
Oh, yes,
Corner.
last week's trivia. Do tell.
Is it the trivia corner?
It is the Otisney Trivia Corner.
Okay. Well, if you may recall, last week I was
I have
talking.
no memory of last week.
You don't remember? We were ranking all of the Magic Kingdom
I remember
attractions.
that, but then I blacked
And then
out.
we were talking specifically about the Liberty Square riverboat.
Oh, right,
And the
yes.
history of that.
Yes,
And I
go
had
ahead.
simply asked if you could name any one of the names that was. And so just to give a small history of that, on October 1st, 1971, when Magic Kingdom premiered or opened its gates for the first time, there were how many riverboats? Zero.
I was going to say.
On October 2nd, 1971, is when the Admiral Joe Fowler premiered on the second day. And it was joined by the Richard F. Irvine on May 20th, 1973. So starting in 1973, there are actually two riverboats kind of going around.
Wow.
If you think about like at Disneyland that has the Mark Twain and the Columbia, it was kind of like that. One of them had, I believe, one smokestack, and one of them had two. But anyway, back in 1980, in a dry dock for the Admiral Joe Fowler, they kind of lifted it up by a crane, and something happened. It slipped, it fell, and the entire hull was shattered.
Oh, no.
And made completely inoperable. And so, basically, on that day, there was only one, the Richard F. Irvine, and that's actually when I came in, and that's the only one that I remember, because as I mentioned, my first Walt Disney World visit was 1984.
There will be a quiz on that later.
That's right. And then in 1996, they actually changed the name of the Richard F. Irvine to the Liberty Bell. Ah,
yes.
Which is what it is to this very day.
That's why I remember that name, because it's the same one as right now.
That's right. And then
why do you suppose they changed it? Just
I don't know.
So it was like nobody knows who Richard
Well,
F.
except
Irvine is.
they took those names
And they put them on
the ferry boats. Yeah, which was at that time the Magic Kingdom 1, the Magic Kingdom 2, and the Kingdom Queen.
Oh, okay.
And they took the two Magic Kingdoms and they named them the Richard F. Irvine and the Admiral Joe Fowler, and they renamed the Kingdom Queen into the General Joe Potter. And these are Potter and Fowler were kind of some old guys who helped create both Disneyland and Disney World that Walt Disney had hired from those days, and they essentially created Disney World. Yeah. Richard F. Irvine was the head of Imagineering at the time. So, yeah. So I would have accepted any one of those three answers.
Very fun facts.
That's right. But I have another trivia question for this week related to our friend, the little orange bird.
Did I give away the question in our discussion?
You did not.
Oh, okay.
Which is good. As we had mentioned, the Disneyland Storybook album that had all of those songs, including the Orange Bird song and the Orange Tree, but that one song, I'll Fly the Skyway, all of the songs written for that album were written directly for that album, with the exception of I'll Fly the Skyway. That song was actually written for an animated feature from before that time that ended up not being used for that animated feature.
Wow.
Right. And at the time, that was called My Way is the Highway. And so they changed My Way is the Highway to I'll Fly the Skyway.
Interesting. And
so the trivia question is, what animated film was that song from, and what was the character that was going to sing it?
Interesting. I don't know
the answer may surprise you.
I'll have to look at your notes and see if I'm right. This is a good one.
I think so.
All right. Well, you're not supposed to Google, but, we'll accept anything.
Either know it or you don't, and if you don't, how else are you going to find it? It is in several books, including this one, Mousetracks, the story of the Walt Disney World records.
Oh my gosh. Is that available?
By Tim Hollis and Greg Ehrbar.
I'll link to that.
Greg Ehrbar is a friend of mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fun. All right. Well, as always, you can send in your Disney trivia answers, your Otisney Trivia Corner Clubhouse answers to Zanna at Zannaland.com. You can find us on upthewaterfall.com if you want to just go there. You can listen to all the episodes that way and find links to everything else. I do post each episode on Zannaland.com as well, with how to listen, where to follow us. You can subscribe on youtube.com/Zannaland, which I would love for you to do.
Yes, please.
You can follow us on Instagram, Zannaland and Otisney, Twitter, Facebook. Facebook.com/Zannaland is where you will find, of course, our live show, which we were about to experience our second ever, which has to be better than the first.
I don't see how it could not be.
We should knock on simulated wood after saying that.
We had a few issues.
We did.
On our initial try.
But that was also the night that Batu in Galaxy's Edge was literally struck by lightning.
Yeah, I was surprised that our house survived.
Yeah.
Because there were some weird storms going on at the exact time that we were trying that.
There were. And we have since upgraded our Wi-Fi system, and I think it's going to be great. It was a fun show for us. On this, no one could hear the fun.
We
I
might
don't
have
think,
to
but
repeat some of the material.
Yeah, that would
for
be
the
true.
For the folks who tune in.
Yeah,
So we can give them a good, fun, full show.
exactly.
Which I'm excited for.
Me too.
We had some good features, and I'm really excited for the future of that. So
Shall
join
we
us.
clink to the future of our
Indeed.
live shows and Orangebird in general? Thank you, as always, for joining us up the waterfall
That's right. Anything's possible at Disneyland.
and the Orangebird.
Yay.